America needs a tidal wave of the old-time religion.
I have sinned against you.
How dare you!
We have no need to doubt God.
The harlot Babylon is preparing the nations to receive the Antichrist.
I didn't even build that house with money from the church. I built it with money from my book.
I don't make this stuff up.
Repenting of your sin.
It is a moral issue.
They got together and swore a pact to the devil.
I just enjoy seeing people worship, praising God.
Hey everybody, and welcome to
Believe It
or Not,
the show where we
believe it,
or do we?
Does one?
Don't we?
Who let the dogs out?
I don't know. I don't know who did. But they should be held accountable and brought to justice.
Yeah, it's true. Somebody asks you to watch their dog, then you watch their dog. Damien, how have you been?
I've been doing okay. You know, New year, new me. Mm-hmm. You know, we're still surviving.
We did it. You know, 2020 ended. COVID stopped. Racism stopped.
Right.
No problem so far in 2021.
No, nothing bad has happened. Yeah. No bad coup attempts. Nothing like that. It's funny. I was saying surviving, but. You know, it's one of those things where I cannot complain because survival is hanging out at home, watching cartoons, and having high-speed internet and food delivered to my door. So I'm doing better than surviving, and I think a lot of us are. So
my game has been, so I started a job at home, work from home. I had been sharing internet with my upstairs neighbors.
Right.
Not a good idea if you're going to be in a call center.
No,
from home. So I switched to my own internet, which is so expensive, and
really,
and then I was still on Wi-Fi, which was also a bad idea. So now I'm hooked up with an Ethernet cable, and wow, I've never had such high speed internet before in my life. I did a speed test, and I was like, I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah, it's a lot better,
to
just be wired than it is to not be.
Yeah, fuck new technology. That's what I say.
There you go.
Yeah, but that's not what we're here to talk about today.
No,
or is it?
Is it? Are we here to talk about high-speed internet?
No.
How is your service going, folks? If you would like a change, we can help you get the rate and speed that you need. So come on down today to the showroom. We'll show you a couple of routers, and we'll get you hooked up, okay?
Use offer code BELIEF at
checkout, and you can get 20% off your first month and, I don't know, free shipping or something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, okay, so I did a video this week. I released a video about the rapture.
Yeah.
And one of the parts was about Jehovah's Witnesses in 1975 and how they convinced everybody that their Armageddon was going to start in 1975.
Yeah.
And then backpedaled. And I was like, again, I want to dive a little deeper into that. So that's what, I guess we'll talk about that.
Yeah. It's always fun that, you know, the video I watched it's very good. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's always funny when they say things like, is like, you know, we've been waiting for the end of the world, and unfortunately, we're still here.
Yeah. That one guy, I found him when I was doing the research, and he just, every year at New Year's, he releases a new video about how upset he is that he's, still on planet Earth.
Yeah, it's because it's a death cult.
Yeah.
These people they want the end of the world to happen. That's what would make them happy.
Yeah.
And it's insane. That's one of the biggest problems with having these people so entrenched in politics, in the States particularly.
Yeah.
Where you're not really working for policies for living people.
No.
You're working towards an end goal of having some weird, quote-unquote, moral superiority in preparation for the Lord coming and killing everybody.
Yeah, it's insane. And, just how much of... There's so many death cult churches, we've talked about IHOP, the International House of Prayer. That's the end of the world is coming soon. That's how they started anyway. It's a little less than that now. In the Seventh-day Adventists and Jehovah's Witnesses, they all start because they're the end is coming. And then there's a video, or in the video that when I was looking stuff up, I found a church that's called the Rapture Church, and that's their whole thing is just preaching the rapture and preaching the end of the world. And it's crazy. But
I just remember the signs on the side of the road. The end is near. Prepare to meet thy God.
yeah.
Okay.
Isn't there one in Toronto, a big one that says the rapture could happen at any moment or something like that? I feel like there's something
Probably.
like that.
Usually I see them on like at the edges of farms on like side highways, you know, not the main highways, but like you know, Rural Road 3.
It's true. I lived on Rural Road 4 for a large part of my childhood.
So pretty close to where you used to live is where that sign was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we've talked before about the Great Disappointment.
Yep.
So William Miller said...
Is that the story of your... Is that the title of your sex tape?
The title of my sex tape, yeah.
I couldn't get it out.
I swear this always happens to me.
Your nickname in high school, the title of your memoir. Like, we can keep going.
We could... No, that's... that one's called... Sure, it's thin, but man, is it short. So 1844, the world's supposed to end, and then everyone's like, oh, it didn't. And some people were like, oh, let's move on with our lives and realize that was a stupid thing to believe. And then other people were like, oh, we must have just got the date wrong. And then other people were like, no, something happened. We just misunderstood what it was.
What?
Yeah, like the Seventh-day Adventists will still talk about William Miller and stuff and the Great Disappointment as like a key moment in like spiritual history, and that something happened, a great event happened in heaven or whatever.
Yeah, the event that happened was that nothing happened.
Yeah, exactly.
They consider this large failure of prophecy to be a significant event of something that happened that we just don't understand.
Yeah, we just didn't understand it.
Right. That's something like when you don't like something and you say, like, I don't really like that. It's like, well, you just didn't understand.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't.
I fucking hate that.
Yeah, it's so dumb. So Charles Chase Russell comes out of this, and okay, so before when we did the Jehovah's Witnesses episode, people were angry because he wasn't a Jehovah's Witness. He was a member of the Bible Student Society. But that's just the name it used before, and then they changed the name. So don't at me. Unless you want to at me, I don't care.
The Bible Student Society is such a stupid name.
So their whole thing was deconstructing the Bible and really finding out what the Bible actually says. But it was also like they came out of the Great Disappointment, so they're going to focus on the end of the world, and Jehovah's Witnesses have always focused on end times and predicting the end times. First big one was 1878. It was called the End of the Harvest. So 1878 was one of those ones where he's like, oh no, it's a miscalculation. It's actually 1881. That's the real one. That's when it's going to happen.
Yeah. Do they do that like every couple of years? Like, oh no, miscommunication.
Yeah.
The real one's in 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. And like Harold Camping, when he was like 2011, and then he's like May 21st of 2011, and then it didn't happen. He's like, oh no, that was like a spiritual return, but the actual return will be on October 21st.
Why do people keep believing these guys?
I don't know.
Constantly.
It's crazy.
Faith is a dangerous thing because you're already willing to believe such outlandish things that it just seems to make people more susceptible to believe even stupider bullshit lies from people.
And I think too, I feel like they get caught up in the excitement, and it's almost like with people who believe conspiracy theories and stuff.
Yep.
They just really get caught up in the excitement and like being on the inner circle of knowing this big truth or whatever.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, right? It's that they think they know something that everyone else does, and then that's like, oh, it's like you don't know because you don't have the facts. And it's just like you're on the inside and everyone's on the outside.
Yeah, exactly.
But everyone on the outside is like, we don't want to be on the inside because the inside is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And demonstrably wrong. And
yes. Have you heard of this little thing called facts?
And the thing is, they always will just find ways. They pick a number. They say that this event happened in the past, and then they find a number in the Bible, and they say that this number is significant, so they add that many years to this event that happened in the past, and then it's like, okay, so now we know that was a signal, and then from 3,000 years to this date, then this will happen, and it just,
all right, okay. I'm going to give you guys the real what's what. This is all a bunch of horse shit, but the truth is the real end times judgment day is going to be May 28th, 2023.
Okay.
I'm calling it
right now.
And if we are not all dead by then, then we'll see what happens, and maybe we'll change. We'll see if we got it right, or if we need to figure out if that was the wrong one. But I'm going to say right now that that's the end day.
Yeah.
Right
So that's the official, believe it or not, prediction. May 28th, 2023, the world will end.
So you got 2 years to get your shit together. Start becoming a good person.
Yeah.
Start praying to the right God.
Yeah. Exactly.
God.
Figure out which one is the right God.
Yeah. And we all know what that one is, so
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to say it here.
And it's not going to end with like hurricanes or meteors or anything like that. It's the world's going to shrink and then disappear like when you turn off an old TV. Like,
is that what it's going to
Yeah,
be? I thought it was going to be everyone plugs in their phone for the night and then they all get electrocuted to death at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one of those two is going to happen. And we're going to do some more research to find out.
Yeah, well, we got 2 years to figure out what's going to happen, but we just know when it's going to happen.
Exactly.
So be ready.
So, yeah, in 1894, he started saying that, oh, no, it's actually going to be in 1914 that the...
We gave himself a little more time.
He gave himself a little more time this time. And so he said that's the full end of times of the Gentiles.
Do you think it's kind of like in movies where they do like the future is like 2002?
Yeah.
And they're like, that's so far away. Yeah. No one's going to care about it then. But it's still like a really relevant movie. And people are like, 2002 was 20 years ago now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they thought the future was going to be.
2001: A Space Odyssey. And like even Blade Runner was 1919 or 2019, sorry. And,
yeah. Back to the Future.
Yeah. Yeah, that was great.
All those things, right?
Yeah.
That's, I guess this guy is basically just a screenwriter who didn't go far enough into the future.
He was born in the wrong time. Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, the 1919 one too. Oh yeah, it was also the farthest limit of human rulership. So Russell and a number of people at the time bought into this idea that the pyramids of Giza were created by God and were filled with symbolism and numbers and stuff, or maybe not physically created, but like inspired by God.
Right.
And so like there's clues within the pyramids of Giza
Because
that
God has big, huge, square, pointy boobies.
Yeah, exactly. Create them in my image of my boobies.
I assume that's what it means.
After Charles Taze Russell died, they erected like a pyramid-shaped monument near his grave to like, so at the time they still believed it. Later, like after I think 1928 or something like that, they started saying that they started disavowing that and saying that never happened, or they didn't believe it, and that was actually the pyramids were inspired by Satan, not by God.
Oh, okay. Is that because of all the other places that have pyramids?
Yeah.
And they're all heathens?
Yeah, exactly.
But weren't most of those things built before God was real?
Yeah, a lot of them.
So, or God existed,
that
I guess.
Perfect Onion article about the society that was mad that God started creating the earth while they were while they had existed for thousands of years.
Well, that's a big Hitchens argument where he says that, where he's saying that for most of human history, that famine and death and plague and people starving and dying at young ages from disease and stuff, and all this stuff was allowed to happen, and then miraculously 6,000 years ago, God finally showed up and said, well, I guess I should probably treat these people okay. Yeah. They can follow my rules and, have a chance of salvation. It's like, all right, well, what about the rest of our human history that's gone on for tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of, it's ridiculous. Bananas.
Yeah. So 1914, that one was like a huge one for them too, after it didn't happen, where people really started to criticize them and kind of laugh at them, and they really had a lot to come back from. But then, World War I happens, and it's like, see, we knew something was going to happen.
Yeah, wars have been happening forever.
Exactly. And that's the thing, too, is it was one of the ones in 1975 was the same thing, where people were just like, the excitement was just in the air, and the whole religion was like freaking out, and like, this is all going to happen. So people are selling their stuff, giving their stuff away, and just like...
Not me. I'm hoarding my stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm making a big pile of it.
Yeah. 1918 was the new terminus. So that's like the new end of the world. That's okay. So this one is, their calculation was what? From 73 CE. Oh, they thought it was from, they should have been counting from 70 CE, which would have made it 1914 when there was a zealot's mass suicide in I don't know. It's so weird, but it actually happened in 73 CE. So then they had the dates wrong or something like that. So it is actually supposed to be 1918. So they're like, oh, okay,
Right, it's a
calculation error.
Oh, it's just a way to cover their ass and say how they got it wrong by mistake.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, we didn't account for this, and then it's going to add another 4 years.
Yeah. And then in 1920, they had a book called Millions Now Living Will Never Die, a booklet by Rutherford, who's the new kind of head of the group after Davis died. Russell died.
Went from Russell to Rutherford?
Yeah, Russell to Rutherford.
Okay.
And yeah, so then they said that basically in 1925, there'd be the resurrection of the patriarch. So basically everyone coming back from the dead,
Why is it the resurrection of the patriarch?
I don't know. It's like, because the Bible talks about like the dead in Christ rising or whatever. So all the former believers and former church leaders or whatever will come back up from the dead and help to rule the world in like the millennium, which is like Christ's, reign on the earth for 1,000 years.
That sounds like a bad idea, is having a bunch of people who have been dead for thousands of years come back and rule. They don't know what's going on anymore.
Yeah, they don't understand anything.
Can you imagine like someone from the 20s coming back and trying to be a politician today?
Yeah.
They would be so fucked.
Yep.
Oh, you see, politics, exciting. We're going to solve the economy. And they're like, who is this guy?
Just like shocked by diversity and women in leadership and like
minorities. What?
And then, so 1966 is when they started talking about that 1975 date as the start of the worldwide jubilee.
Oh,
which is a great word.
The Queen had a jubilee.
Yeah, the Queen had a jubilee.
She's had a couple of them,
doesn't
she?
Or is Jubilee the 75th?
Was that her diamond? No, because there's the diamond jubilee, which is a specific jubilee. I don't know. I'll look up Queen Jubilee.
Okay.
Queen Jubilee. Ascension to the throne. Okay. Is that all that jubilee means?
Oh, I guess so. Yeah. So it's like Jesus coming down and sitting on his throne on earth, which later got changed to actually that's when he got his throne in heaven.
Yeah.
It's why would Jesus, who gave up his life 2,000 years ago in 1975, get the throne? Oh, I'm jumping ahead here, though. Just so you know, the 1,000-year reign didn't actually start in 1975. They just thought it would.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're still waiting.
Right.
But yeah, so they believed that Adam had been created.
Yeah.
In 4026 BCE. And so 6,000 years from that would be 1975. Does that even add up?
I don't know if that does. Another thing, what if he did come back in like the early hundreds and he did reign for 1,000 years and it was the Dark Ages?
Maybe, yeah. He was just a bad leader. Like he's just not organized.
And then he's just like, man, I did not do a good job at this. I need to leave.
Yeah. And then he just like...
And that was the fall of the Roman Empire.
Yeah. And he erased it from our memories.
Like in Men in Black.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Us. Yeah. But yeah, so in the Watchtower, they basically said
that's the magazine they hand out.
That's the magazine they hand out. It's 426 BCE, according to this trustworthy biblical chronology. 6,000 years from the man's creation will end in 1975, and the seventh period of 1,000 years of human history will begin in the fall of 1975 CE. So 6,000 years of man's existence on Earth will soon be up. Yes, within this generation. So in not many years within our own generation, we'll be reaching Jehovah God. They also said in 1914, after that kind of ended, that it just meant that this generation will not pass, that there will be people who are alive in 1914 who will not die. They will, they will never die. And they said that again in 1925, that millions now living will never die.
Yeah.
And with the 1914 one, they kept that argument up for years if that's what that meant, that it would be people who were alive in 1914. And now as there's like less and less people who are alive now that were alive in 1914, they're starting
How many are there still alive now?
Probably not a lot.
Probably not many.
Because they'd be 107 years old. So.
I will say that probably a bunch of the people who were alive in 1914 probably lived longer.
Yeah.
Because of advances in medicine
exactly.
and technology over the last 100 years. But it had nothing to do with the big G and the big J.
Exactly.
Coming down and fist bumping them all into eternity.
So between this time, though, between 66 and 75, they expanded a lot. A lot of people bought into this.
Was that because of radio and television that really kind of pushed it?
I think so.
Were they involved in that stuff, or?
Yeah, but mostly I think it was because their people got so excited that they increased their door-to-door ministry by like a lot. A lot of people just like would quit their jobs and do it full time because they thought the world was coming anyway, so they would just live off what they had.
I guess especially after 2 world wars and a depression, people are a little more susceptible to eternal salvation.
There was one video I was watching. I don't think it made the final cut, but she was talking about how in 1941 she was at a Watchtower or Jehovah's Witness convention, and they were told that it would just be a few years and not to marry, not to have children and stuff like that, because it would just be a few more years till the end of the world. Which is also why Jehovah's Witnesses are told like not to go to college and not to get an education, because there's not any point, and you have to prepare yourself to the end of the world. And
when did the Jehovah's Witnesses start? 18 something.
Basically, slowly. Like I don't think they were Jehovah's Witnesses until the 20s. That's when the name came about. And
all right, so between
after Russell died, it
100
changed
and
a lot.
150 years of saying it's coming soon, it's coming soon, it's coming soon. Don't do this, don't do this, and they've just had generation of morons.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're not educated, they're not doing anything to prepare for what they're doing right now. It's perpetuating the cycle, it seems to be.
Oh yeah, for sure. And they're not even they're not allowed to be involved in politics, because that's seen as a useless thing. You're preparing this earth for better whatever, when you need to prepare yourself for the next earth. And
that's another thing I never understand, is this idea that we have to forget about now to make later a much better thing. It's like I can get it if you're like working hard to like make your thing your lot a little better, but like, why would you completely disregard the life that you have right now?
Yeah, and it's like, have you not seen like a family movie where the father is at work all the time and not caring about his kids, and then he gets
Are
an
they allowed to
epiphany?
watch movies?
Oh yeah, I don't know, maybe not. I think they are, but
and they're not allowed to celebrate holidays.
No,
so most of those movies are holiday movies.
That's true.
So
yeah,
or like Liar Liar, but I don't think they're. Oh, that's about a birthday. They're not allowed to have birthdays.
That's about birthday.
Are they allowed to sue? Are they allowed to have lawyers?
I don't know.
I don't know if they're educated enough.
Yeah.
Based on what you're telling me.
Yeah, maybe not.
And I don't mean to be disparaging to these people.
Well, some of the people were, they're raised in it, and it's like they don't know any.
Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't be so critical of individuals who are just unfortunately brought up in such a horrible environment. I more mean the idea behind it and the people who push this stuff.
It's awful. It's so cynical too, just like thinking of how they warp people's minds, and like even the shunning thing within Jehovah's Witnesses, how like can't, if somebody leaves the faith, you're not allowed to talk to them. And
there's a few different groups that do this, and it's absolutely insane, and it keeps people from leaving too. That's the big thing, right? It's like, whether you believe it or not, like how do you throw out your whole world, your whole life, your family, the whole structure that you've grown up with and your world is built around, to just completely cut it out of your life just because, well, not just because, but because you've realized how wrong it is. Like that's got to be one of the most difficult things that you can do.
Oh, I saw somebody posted a video from like last year, the year before, of they were giving testimony at a Jehovah's Witness church, and it was this girl who was probably like 12 talking about how it was hard for her to shun her 16-year-old sister after she walked away, and how her sister was trying to maintain a relationship with her, and just like how God had helped her to not talk to her sister. And
that's one of the more fucked up things I always find, is where this encouragement of the children to do these things, and like the really pushing of like, getting the kids to be like, you have to shun these people, you have to do this, and it's just like, you have to make these choices now, you have to know your salvation, this is stuff that you need to know. It's just like, they're fucking children. They don't know. They don't know what's going on. All they know is what you've told them. So everything is just like, I mean, that is kind of how kids work. Like what they know is what you've shown them, but they don't have critical thinking skills.
Exactly.
They don't have the resources to figure this out on their own. So
Yeah.
and I understand it comes from a place of good intentions,
Yeah.
but they're good intentions soured by really nasty intentions.
Yeah,
so.
it's true. Yeah. I don't like it.
And I'm all for cutting out your family,
Yeah.
especially if they're big old dill weeds. But
1974 in the Watchtower, it said,
all along the Watchtower.
yeah, they played all along the Watchtower.
Yeah.
Reports are heard of brothers selling their homes and property and planning to finish out the rest of their lives in this old system in the pioneer service. Certainly, this is a fine way to spend the short time remaining before the wicked world ends.
I don't think it is. I think a good way to spend that time is drinking and fucking and licking all the buttholes you can, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, if you know, like, you got 3 years before the end of the world, who gives a shit?
Have you seen the movie Finding a Friend for the End of the World?
No.
Okay, it's a great. I love it. But there's a scene where they go into a TGI Fridays and they're like, "How is this still open?" Because there's only like 1 day left till the meteor hits or whatever, and they're like, we didn't know what else to do, so we just thought we'd come to work, and like people are just in there. And I felt like that so much during like the height or the beginning of the pandemic when I was still working in a restaurant and people were coming in and like would complain about that our coffee wasn't organic or whatever, and just like, this is like, it just felt like the apocalypse at that point because it was so emotions were so heightened, and I was just like, why are you doing this right now?
You people do realize that organic doesn't necessarily mean a lot.
That word does not mean what you think it means.
No, not at all. Was I with you when we went to that Jack Astor's on John, and it was like the day before it was closing?
Yeah.
So like the service was just terrible, and you're like, what is going on? It's like, oh well, we're closing tomorrow.
Yeah, we're both like,
so,
oh, okay, then yeah, that's fine.
That's fine. It's just like, it feels like nobody gives a shit. So if we'd have known, we might not have come here. It was just so weird.
Oh yeah, stay alive till 75 was a common phrase of like, basically, however hard life is right now, just stay alive till 75, and then you'll be part of the ruling class, and
Yeah.
Let me read the quote from that. Well, now, as Jehovah's Witnesses, as runners, even though some of us have become a little weary, it almost seems as though Jehovah has provided meat in due season, because he's held up before us all a new goal, a new year, something to reach out for, and it all just seems as if given all of us so much more energy and power in this final burst of speed to the finish line. And
you ever be walking and then you fart and you feel like you get a little burst of speed?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah, it's just like that. Boy, okay, a bunch of stable geniuses here.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, it was a really good way for them to rile up their people, to get more people in.
That's all that most of these organizations are. They're just ways to incite people to buy into their cause.
Yeah. And it's like Harold Camping's a good example too, of people just like selling everything they had to like just go around the country in Winnebagos telling people to the end is near, get ready, and
And hey, if you want to sell all your stuff and travel around the country in Winnebago, that's pretty cool too.
That is cool. Yeah, just don't put those weird
bother
signs
people
on it. Yeah, exactly. And then it didn't happen, and people were like, "What?" That one video I was watching where the woman was like, "We wanted to start a family, but we didn't because we thought that the world was going to end, so we didn't have kids, and our life could have been different if we didn't buy into this completely."
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Which is the insane thing that people still keep buying into it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other woman was talking about how she's like, I didn't think I'd graduate high school. I didn't think I'd be a mom. I didn't think I'd be a grandma. And here we are. Yeah. And it's,
got a grade 10.
Yeah. Exactly.
Had a couple of kids. Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, afterwards, they're like, actually, something did happen. Oh, actually, I think at first they were like, oh, no, we got the year wrong because we were counting from Adam and not from Eve or something like that. And
what?
Because Eve was made after Adam. They were made the same day. Like,
Isn't it within a week anyway?
Yeah.
Like within 7 days or some shit like that? I don't know. So even if it was a different thing, it's only like a day.
Yeah.
What?
And so I was watching this video too called 2028 End, which a lot of people are buying into now.
Okay.
And they use that exact same logic. They just picked a different time for when Adam was born. And they're saying that, or like Adam was created.
Hey guys, Adam's not real.
Adam's not a real being.
Not real.
Not real.
Didn't exist. So they said that they were doing it from a different time when Adam was created.
Yeah. So, but now they say that the 1,000-year reign will start in 2028.
How are they determining when Adam was created?
I don't like. It's usually genealogy in the Bible, so they'll like go through the lists and like
so-and-so
calculate
begat
how
so-and-so begat so-and-so.
and they'll figure out
a
how
real reliable narrative of things.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of times they would either just have, I mean, they were mostly just made up because they're stories, but in the true ones, they would just have like the popular people or like
is it in history and journalism you need like a primary source and a couple of secondary sources in order to verify if something is like true or not?
Exactly. Well, it's like that comment I got on the video where the guy's like, I'd rather believe the Bible that has been proven for over 2,000 years and has been like rewritten or like copied this many times. It's like, how does any of that mean that it's true?
It's all the same source, and at best it's a secondary source, I would say, because it's all just secondhand knowledge of something that might have happened.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a secondary source. It's all fiction.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah. It's like even the story of Jesus is, so much of it is written based on prophecies that they misunderstood. Right. So even when you look at the prophecies and like say what, like figure out what they actually were saying, it's usually quite off from what happened that they created these stories around. And it's just,
well, Harry Potter had a prophecy about him too.
That's true.
That was the whole thing about the Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah,
and
that's
stuff.
true.
There's a whole thing about the prophecy, and that's why Sirius Black died. So.
If the prophecy is fulfilled within its own book, it's like, could be a little sketchy. But I think overall that the Jehovah's Witnesses have learned their lesson, and they're not going to predict the future anymore. And I'm lying. So the Aftermath 2. Now they say
Electric Boogaloo.
They released a video, I think, this year or last year about 1975, like Jehovah's Witnesses did. Basically saying it was people in the church that started this rumor, and it wasn't actually the Watchtower that.
Even though they endorsed it.
Yeah, we have the book still. Like we can still go back and read it.
Yeah,
but
didn't go away.
Yeah, their story now is that it was just rumors within the church and overexcitement and people.
So what are they saying? When are they saying the end of the world is?
Now they're being way more vague.
Oh,
but they're constantly saying like it's right around the corner. It's gonna happen soon. Here are the signs.
Well, our prediction is right around the corner. 2 years. 2 years from now.
2 years from now.
Just a little over. So.
Yeah, get ready. Prepare thyself.
Yep. Should we email the Jehovah's Witnesses with our prediction?
Yes, I think we should.
I will send them this episode.
Yeah.
I'll say, I'll timestamp it so they can hear that part, and we'll see what they say.
Yeah, the recent one was, we are in the final days of the final days before the final day.
Is this like when they extend the Boxing Day sales at Best Buy?
Yeah, exactly.
Final days of the the Boxing Day extended sale on now till February 5th. I'm like, what? It's been a month and a half.
That's actually a good point too. That this actually applies to when we were. Because I started doing a job in sales, and we were talking about creating urgency and about how those rug stores that have closing soon,
constantly closing.
Yeah, and how they put that sign up the week they open because it creates urgency. Well, I have to get in there soon and buy that rug.
But they just mean that they're closing at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly.
So every day they technically are closing.
It's true. Yeah,
it's not a lie.
And that's the same thing too. You create that urgency, like we have to fix our lives right now, and we have to get right before God. And
it's like when you buy some meat and it says best before this day.
Yeah.
You're like, that doesn't mean anything. You can go a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, even a month after that. It doesn't matter. It's fine. Who cares if it's brown and stinky?
It's true. Yeah. Just throw it in the cupboard.
Yeah. You cook it at a high enough heat, it kills all the bad stuff, right?
Yeah, right. Sure. I didn't prepare a segment, so this is the end, I guess.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes it's refreshing to have that where, short and sweet, we kiss you on the lips, so we send you to bed.
Yeah.
Just like the Jehovah's Witnesses do, right?
Yeah, they do
That's
that.
how they do it, right?
Every night, the Watchtower Society goes to all their
Every
houses.
house, they knock on their doors. They say it's time for bed, and they go kiss them on the lips,
kiss 'em
and
on
they
the
tuck them
lips.
in,
Yeah.
and then they read them. They read them an article from the Watchtower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. So, anyways, tell everybody about Knock on Doors.
Yeah.
Tell them about the podcast.
Quick question:
Yeah.
I've never actually read the Watchtower. Have you?
No.
Okay, I was wondering if they have like, like in like the New Yorker or whatever, they have like little political cartoons or little cartoons dispersed throughout.
Yeah.
Do you think the Watchtower does too?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like God-based, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I don't know.
We'll have to get our
We'll
hands
look
on a
into it.
copy of that, and if not, then we might have to start submitting some to the Watchtower.
I've definitely read some of their flyers. Like I had one that was dropped off at my door that said, "Do you know what will happen when you die?" And I said, "Yes,
Yeah, I'll be dead.
I'll be dead. I'll be a dead person."
Decompose. Probably get burned up in a big oven.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Thanksgiving dinner.
Yep. And then like put into like a little necklace or something.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
They'll just keep your arm bone and make it into a necklace.
Yeah. Well, like us and subscribe us, and that's a podcast. I mean, we're a podcast. Subscribe on iTunes or wherever you find podcasts are found.
Yeah, and we'll be back again to do some more believing or not.
Or not.
Bye.
Bye. Love you. Miss you.
Work, 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 Sky Moon.